I feared I might not know what the hell I was doing, and I didn't. I had, to one extent or another, all the hopes and fears you would expect, and probably a few more besides. But what I honestly didn't anticipate was that I would fall in love with the school and the town. None of the scenarios that I'd entertained had me coming back in the fall of 2020 for another go at the Professor Block routine. I'll be teaching 2 classes again, but they'll both be writing courses. One will be the workshop as it evolved last fall. The other will be self-realization through writing, a class for students with no interest in or aptitude for writing per se. And it's an apple that won't have fallen very far from the Write for Your Life tree. And so we've taken this apartment. We'll live here in the fall when I'm teaching. We'll probably visit on other occasions for a week or 2 at a time. And I can always catch the Silver Star at Penn Station and come down on my own to hole up and get some work done. As I'm doing now. While I was teaching last fall, I managed to fit in a lunch with Richard Lehman, best known as the biographer of and leading authority on Dashiell Hammett. He drove over from Columbia, and over coffee invited me to a reception he and his wife were giving for James Ellroy, the self-styled mad dog of crime fiction, on the occasion of Ellroy's presenting the library of the University of South Carolina with his papers. I hadn't seen Jim in at least 20 years, and welcomed the chance to touch base with him. And while I was there, I mentioned to Richard that I was taking a more cavalier attitude toward my own papers, selling off some manuscripts to collectors and tossing out the rest. The look on his face gave me pause. And so I wound up saying that if he could set it up with the appropriate people at the university, I'd be pleased to fill a few cartons with manuscripts and correspondence and contracts and, well, whatever else I had around. And one thing led to another, and after a couple of phone conversations with USC Library's Elizabeth Sudduth, I was back in New York, sifting through storage bins and rummaging through boxes and closets. And before I was done, I'd sent more than 30 hefty cartons of material to Columbia. What they'll make of it, I have no idea. Nor do I very much care. Every scrap of paper I sent them is one less item my kids will have to throw out. Nor is that all I've gained from the enterprise. I came across various manuscripts I'd written and set aside. A few unfinished short stories, the memoir of a career criminal turned confidential informant, a commissioned novel which had pleased the prospective publishers well enough. They'd paid me for it, but had then found themselves legally restrained from publishing it. I might finish one or another of the short stories, though I have to say it seems unlikely. I might do something with either or both of the books, if the rights are clear and the material strikes me as worth publishing. But there was a third book-length manuscript. A Writer Prepares, I'd called it, and it ran to a bit over 50,000 words. And here I am in Newbury, sitting at a white Parson-style desk that I bought from Walmart and put together, not without effort, all by myself, writing this introduction for it. I didn't open a box, pull out the manuscript, and blurt out, "Oh my God, I forgot all about this." I hadn't forgotten about it, not for a moment. And when I started rooting around for material to send to USC, I knew that A Writer Prepares was one of the manuscripts I could expect to find. I remembered writing it in the course of a positively feverish week at Ragdale, the Illinois art colony. And I remembered the utter exhaustion, physical and mental and emotional, that overwhelmed me by the time I brought it back to New York. I figured I'd set it aside for a while. That while stretched to 25 years. How'd that happen? I'm not sure, and can more readily explain why it happened, which is that I didn't want to endure any more of what I'd undergone at Ragdale. It had been exhilarating, that week-long plunge into the past, but it had drained me. While forcing me to look at parts of my history it was less than a joy to examine. When you gaze long into an abyss, Nietzsche told us, the abyss also gazes into you. I'm not sure I know what that means, and I'm not entirely convinced that Nietzsche knew either, but I liked the sound of it. And I was profoundly grateful for the week I'd spent gazing into my own particular abyss. But that didn't mean I was ready to scurry back.